Welcome back to another episode of Brothers and Blockbusters. I'm your co-host, Elliot.
And I am your co-host, Eric.
And we are a sibling-hosted podcast with film nerd tastes and strong opinions. Each week, we cover the biggest movie and entertainment news, review a new release, and end the show with what's on our minds. All right, so today we're going to talk about some major news out of CinemaCon 2026, which was last week. We're going to review Project Hail Mary, which came out a few weeks ago, and then wrap up what we've been up to on our own. Ready to get started?
I'm ready.
All right. So first segment, titled This Week in Hollywood. We have a couple of stories we want to discuss and then some trailers and some reactions to some trailers to end it out. But the first biggest news story of really the week came from CinemaCon, where Avengers Doomsday released their, first trailer.
First trailer, I mean, it wasn't like released publicly. It was released to the people who attended CinemaCon.
Correct. So CinemaCon is essentially like the world's biggest, most significant gathering for movie studios, which includes owners of movie theaters, so like AMC theaters, Cinemark, like IMAX, where they can come and have representatives talk about what's the biggest products that they're giving out.
Sure.
So we have new changes to what our IMAX screens are going to look like this year, what the cameras look like. So it's basically for all of them. And then in recent years, I think they've started bringing in more content creators who cover this stuff on a daily basis. Like Brandon Davis, for example, is a guy who I follow who does a lot of this stuff. He was there last week and basically broke down every big news, breaking news.
So, I mean, it seems like it's becoming way more popular than what it probably used to be.
Yes, especially with today's day and age with, social media, where it's, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, people are able to post all this stuff, and YouTube, at any given moment.
Sure.
There's Doomsday Front, where think Kevin Feige came out, Robert Downey Jr. came out, Chris Evans was there, and then I think the Russo brothers came out as well, where they essentially just kind of wanted to showcase some snippets of the Avengers movie to people in attendance. One of the big parts of that obviously is the trailer, but that the fact that they're not changing the release date. Supposedly there were rumors that it was gonna move up a week to I think December 11th to not go head to head with
Dune 3.
Well, apparently they're keeping it on 12/18, so the same weekend as Dune. So just like we had Barbenheimer, we'll now have Doomsday.
You couldn't do the other way around. Avengers Part 3.
Avengers Part 3
can't really do that. So.
That's Infinity War. That's Avengers Part 3.
Doomsday. It is.
So that was kind of a big news, and they kind of talked about something that they're calling Infinity Vision or something like that, where because of Dune taking all these IMAX screens on 12/18 that weekend, they were talking about their own screens and stuff. And I haven't really looked into it, so I'm not going to talk too much on it. But supposedly there's something more about that.
Interesting.
But back here in CinemaCon, they released a trailer, which of course they're not allowed to record anything. Anyone in attendance is not allowed to record anything, but you can tweet about it and literally take all notes you want and then post everything.
Sure.
So that's where I found out what happened with Brandon Davis, who posted a bunch of stuff about.
That was Brandon Davis. Okay.
Yes, yeah, he posted literally word for word what he saw in the trailer. So, they released these snippets of trailers a couple months ago, I think.
Yeah.
Where they had one was Thor in the forest. I think he was talking to his dad, Odin, just praying to him essentially. And there were a couple others. I think there was a Wakanda one where they met the Thing, Ben Grimm, from the latest Fantastic Four movie. So there was a bunch of snippets in that, but this one was actually a legit trailer where Dr. Doom appeared. Apparently Robert Downey Jr. had a voiceover with it.
Say they either changed his voice or had a voiceover with it. I heard it's different.
Yeah, I think he has kind of an accent.
Interesting.
So maybe Tropic Thunder, where he was the Australian. God.
That would be hilarious.
That would be really funny. But I mean, Dr. Doom, I think he's from a fictional country in Eastern Europe, so I'm not sure how they're actually gonna do that voice, but
yeah, that's interesting.
I'm sure they'll do something with it. But anyways, I think in that trailer as well as Thor, and he apparently tries to throw his hammer at Doom, and Doom catches it. Also, spoiler warning for all this stuff if you're listening.
Yeah, I mean, I guess this is a spoiler because it's something that a guy tweeted about the trailer. Right. I mean, something in here is really not a spoiler. I mean, obviously, in his tweet, he talked about the new Avengers Tower with the New Way logo, and in that building, the Fantastic Four meet Bucky, Ant-Man, Captain America, and more. And we obviously saw that building. I believe was that a different building we saw in the end of the post-credit scene for Thunderbolts.
No, that is Avengers Tower.
Yeah.
It was bought by whatever her name is, Val, who basically runs the new Avengers, which is the government-sanctioned Avengers team now.
Yeah, they were complaining about they were wasn't that a thing they were trying to argue who was the real Avengers team?
Yes. Yeah, because Sam Wilson, new Captain America, he's kind of trying to get a team together, I guess, but may not be like officially official with the government. But yeah, that post-credit scene ends with the Fantastic Four ship kind of flying into their
correct.
view.
That's where I was going. So clearly they're going to end up meeting with. Obviously, they're all going to meet. Just you don't know how it's going to happen.
So yeah, there's a bunch of that in this trailer. So Thor's talking about like his people and how they've endured so much and that, everything they've gone through, and then basically says this is even like a bigger challenge for them. So that's in there. I think Chris Evans as like Captain America comes back. Or at least he's in there.
Well, he's back obviously, and I think you and I talked about there might have been rumors or spoilers potentially about when he went back in Endgame to return all the Infinity Stones. There's a potential of maybe when he did that, it caused some ripples in the...
Yeah, and that's how kind of Doctor Doom comes into play, because he's kind of similar-ish, and I have to read up again on this stuff, but similar-ish to like Kane, where like he's controlling timelines and figuring out like, oh, you did something you shouldn't have, and you're gonna pay for it, and like...
And we're getting this now because of that whole issue with Kane. Right?
Yeah.
They had to pivot.
Yeah, they kind of pivoted with the whole Jonathan Major stuff, and after the Ant-Man movie, they kind of killed him off, but made him look weaker than he probably really was. So, yeah, they decided just to bring Doom in here now.
So is this going to be a lot of multiverse stuff, I'm assuming? That's still going to be tied in, but it's not going to be the main focal point. Or will it be?
Well, it kind of is, because they're bringing in like the X-Men universe.
That's true.
In this movie. Obviously, you have the current Marvel universe, and then the Fantastic Four universe is coming in. So it is multiverse, but I think by the end of it, because this is Doomsday, and then Secret Wars is the next Avengers movie. So then that will kind of wrap everything up for the multiverse saga.
But like you said, sorry to cut you off, but you mean this is the biggest movie since Endgame? I know we've had bits and pieces of movies that kind of had the hype. Like I remember Quantumania had a significant hype, and it kind of seemed like that fell flat.
Yeah.
And it just every Marvel show movie, aside from a few, it's just been kind of like flat.
Yeah.
Like, and that's the problem though. It's like you look at it, you watch all these movies for the last 15, 20 years, and you have all your main characters. And obviously, if you guys haven't seen any of the Avengers movies, which I don't know how you haven't at this point, but most of the main characters and the big stars are no longer around. But
right.
Look what they're doing. They're bringing back Chris Evans in some capacity. They're bringing back Robert Downey Jr. in some capacity.
Mm-hmm.
Does that, it's kind of like, all right, well, it's clearly not working. So how can we bring these guys back to have a different role potentially, or even to reprise a role? Can we bring someone back, quote unquote, from the dead?
Right. It's like trying to bring the fans back that they thought left, and the state of the MCU is kind of, I don't say it's down, but it's not as high as it was. So, and that kind of connects to the point of the Russos coming up and saying this is essentially a direct sequel to Endgame. So, I don't think that means that they're cutting out like everything that happened in between, but I think in terms of the motivations of what's going to happen in Doomsday has to do with the end of Endgame. I think it solely is based on when Captain America, Steve Rogers, took back all those Infinity Stones.
Yeah, something clearly happened. They probably worked it around to say like, oh, he probably created like ripples in the universe.
Yeah,
or whatever
I mean they call them like, what was it, incursions? I think is what the famous quote from John Krasinski in Multiverse of Madness.
Yes, before he got his.
Basically, like when universes are, you're messing with different universes, and eventually they collide and cause, catastrophe and things like that. So, but anyways, this was basically the whole big like presentation where they showed the trailer. People went nuts. People want to see more. Still looking for people to leak things, but it doesn't seem like anything's getting past.
No, I haven't seen anything. I follow a bunch of different accounts, and I haven't seen even anything like on my For You page.
Yeah.
You type in Avengers, and eventually, like your For You page just fills up with Avengers stuff. Like I just watched WrestleMania, and my entire For You page is all wrestling stuff.
Yeah.
So, but I haven't seen anything.
No, I haven't either, and I kind of want to wait. I don't want to like see some grainy video of somebody who's sitting all the way in the nosebleeds of this like theater to.
One thing I'm interested in this is obviously in that tweet, the Brandon Davis' tweet about the trailer. He didn't mention Loki. And Loki, I know, at the end of season 2 of Loki, that he kind of has you thought, and who knows where they're going to go with him in this movie, because I think he's in it, correct? Tom Hiddleston?
Yeah, he's in Doomsday.
I wonder what role he's going to play, and if, he's going to have to step up and be the person to kind of help take down Doctor Doom, considering where he is now in his current
like
situation.
heading like the tree of life, essentially, and the director of the timelines.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I hope he doesn't get hit, the same fate he got in a bunch of movies where you think he passes away or dies. I mean, he did in Infinity War, obviously, and then this Loki character is the one from Endgame that escaped.
So there's multiple Loki characters.
Yes. Well, I guess the one that's still alive, that's like head of, I guess I don't even know if it's TV anymore, like head of like policing all the timelines. That's the one from Endgame. He was the one. Remember the one where they go back to New York 2012.
Yes.
He gets the Tesseract.
Yes.
And he disappears.
Yes.
That is this Loki.
So that's Endgame Loki, not original Avengers Loki, but it's 2012 Loki.
It's 2012 Loki. Yeah.
Okay. See.
Yeah. So I think, yeah, we'll see what happens, but
it's exciting. I don't want to know. Like, I hope when they release this trailer, it gives, because you don't want a trailer that gives away too much, and I don't think they will. I think they're going to make you want to get to the theater.
Right.
And they're honestly, I mean, because I'm a fan of both Avengers and Dune, and those two coming out on the same day, I don't think I'm going to leave the theater. I'll probably just go from one theater to the next, but it's going to be interesting to see those numbers when they come out of, I have a feeling it's probably going to be dominated more so by Avengers, just because this is one of the biggest ones that we've had in a, Infinity War came out, 2018, 2019?
Yeah.
Or not Infinity War, sorry, Endgame. So
yeah, 2019.
That's going to be interesting to see where that kind of lines up. But talk about a fun weekend before Christmas.
Yeah, literally the week before Christmas. Friday, I think it's that Friday, the 18th of December. So, yeah, I mean, it's going to be epic. Supposedly early test screenings. The test screens haven't gotten leaked, but the people apparently who have seen, early test screens have said it's
Infinity War level.
It's Infinity War,
and that's top 3 of Marvel movie for me. Infinity War. I don't know if it's number 1, but I think it's my favorite Avengers movie. And it's not. I don't think. I mean, obviously, Endgame is Endgame, but I think Infinity War just kind of gave you, obviously, the shock factor of everything.
Yeah.
But if it's testing as well as Infinity War, I mean, I think we're all in for a pretty big treat.
Yeah. No, I'm really excited for it, and you brought it up a few minutes ago about the, I won't say fatigue factor is the right term, but like bringing back Chris Evans and Robert Downey Jr. And the Russo brothers are back to direct first time since Endgame. So it's like, are they just trying to retread and trying to get these main guys back to get people back on board? But if you can make the story good enough to
correct,
it won't matter. It won't matter if these guys are back or not. And I have a feeling that the Chris Evans, like the young Captain America, is not going to be around very long.
Probably not, but you never know what they're going to do with it. You never know.
How long can he stick around for?
I don't know, because when you think Captain America, obviously you think Chris Evans.
Yep.
Because that's America's ass.
That's America's ass. God, that when we saw that in the theaters, everybody, I mean...
Well, see, it sucked for me, though, because that was Endgame, right? Yeah. I hadn't really seen any Marvel movies up to that point. Like, I had seen them in bits and pieces. I'd seen Iron Man in the past. I saw the first Captain America in the past. But when you said, hey, I'm getting tickets, do you want to go? I said, well, I've only seen a handful of movies. And I remember, I don't think you remember this. You probably do. I watched all 20, whatever, how many there were, 16, 17 in order over a span of like 3 weeks.
Yeah.
I would order them I'd get them on either if it was streaming or I would get the Netflix DVDs shipped to my apartment and I'd watch them all. And I came into that kind of not having, which kind of is unfortunate for me, is because I didn't have that emotional tie to it that a lot of people did
at
Endgame, because I had seen them all so close together. It's like I didn't even have time to even register what was happening.
Right.
But this obviously now.
Yeah. I mean, the biggest one, I mean, for me was like Iron Man, Tony Stark, because like we watched that original Iron Man movie like probably the year it came out.
Oh yeah, we
never
watched it
saw
like
it
5
in
times
theaters,
under my
but
loft.
we watched it so much. I remember getting like the computer game. It's like in that moment, yeah, it was pretty crazy. But I was similar to you, where I watched a lot of those Marvel movies like the year leading up, because I didn't see Infinity War in theaters.
Neither did I.
I knew how big of a spectacle it was, and how important it was, and I kind of knew what happened, but didn't really.
Sure.
But then obviously seeing it for the first time right before Endgame, I was like, oh my god.
Yeah, it was fantastic. I still have my Rocket Cup.
That you got at Endgame, yeah.
Side note: he is my second favorite Marvel superhero. Is Rocket.
Is number 1? Is it Iron Man?
Captain America.
Oh, Captain America.
I post this to my Instagram.
That's right. You're Team Captain America. Yeah.
There's always Team Cap, Team Iron Man. And I was disappointed in the last Instagram result 3 years ago, so I got to put a new one up before Doomsday.
Get the hype going again. So yeah, that was really the biggest news out of CinemaCon. And again, there's a bunch of other stuff. Like our next story, just kind of briefly mentioning Christopher Nolan and in the Odyssey that's coming out this summer. He came out essentially in one of the panels and just spoke about how excited he is for it, and how he expects it to be another big blockbuster. And I believe they released another trailer for it as well there.
I think they did, yes. I mean, it's Christopher Nolan. Blockbuster and Christopher Nolan kind of go hand in hand.
Yeah.
Right. He has a few older movies that I haven't seen. They're on my watch list of movies to see, but I mean, when you're talking about his filmography, I mean, with all the Batman movies of Christian Bale and then Tenet, Oppenheimer, Interstellar, like it's those movies are everyone still talks about. So this one is obviously it's historical in a sense of everyone probably has read this, whether it was in high school, college.
Yeah.
I don't remember the last time I read the Odyssey. I probably want to before I see this, but especially with this cast, I mean, just Matt Damon's Zendaya, Tom Holland, then you have Anne Hathaway in there. It's just like that's what you go to the movies for.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You just hope it's going to be a good movie. I mean,
he barely has any misses. Even his, misses aren't like bad movies. Like Tenet.
I mean, I really enjoyed Tenet. It took me, I think I saw it in theaters, and I remember you and I saw it.
That was like right around COVID, right? Like
yes.
The year after, like 2021 maybe.
Or was it before COVID? Like 2019.
Oh, I don't know. I think it was right after. I think it was 21.
You're right.
Because I think maybe
you're right.
It was.
You're right.
They decided to release it in theaters.
Yes.
But maybe it was also on streaming. I can't remember.
Yeah. And even then, I saw it again the second time, and you really have to watch that movie. And really, that's the key for some of these movies, though, is one of my things is like when you're watching a movie for the first time, you really need to pay attention, especially with movies like Tenet. You miss so much if you happen to look down at your phone for a minute or two.
Yeah.
Then you miss kind of the whole premise. I remember it happened with me with The Matrix. And I remember watching The Matrix, the whole series, the first 3 movies. And I never really understood, except there was one time I was in my room on a weekend when it was snowing, and I watched all 3 curtains shut, and I actually focused. I'm like, oh, this makes sense.
Yeah.
So Tenet obviously was that, but he doesn't really have many misses.
No. And I think this will be slightly different than a movie like Tenet or even like Inception, where that one I feel like I can't believe discovering something new every time.
I was going through his whole thing.
You didn't say Inception?
I didn't say Inception, and that's one of my favorite movies.
That's blasphemy.
That's bad. That's bad. I said Tenet over Inception. That's just brutal beat by me.
It's recency bias, right? Inception, it's been like
I just watched Inception like last week. So.
Okay, well then I'm
trying
to help you out here.
I know I haven't seen that in years, and that movie, what came out in 2010, I think. Inception 2008, 2009, late teen.
Yeah.
That movie's it's insane.
I want to say it came out right after he did both Batman movies, or between Batman movies. I think Dark
it was right came out in 08, so it must have been like 10.
Yeah, 10, and then Dark Knight Rises was 2012.
Something like that.
So yeah, but with like Odyssey, I don't think it's going to be as, and I could be jinxing here, but I don't think it's going to be as complicated.
No,
as like Tenet or Inception.
I don't think it's gonna be as like. I think it's gonna be a lot more dramatic than obviously something like Oppenheimer, right? Oppenheimer was visually one of the best movies I think I've seen. The whole storyline, the acting was incredible, but a lot of people went into it with an expectation it was gonna be something when it wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's gonna be that type of film just based on the trailer alone. I think it's gonna be one of those movies that you're like, yeah, Christopher Nolan was in his bag again.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. I haven't heard anything about like test screenings for this or anything, but if it's Christopher Nolan, I completely trust.
This comes out when? July?
Yeah, middle July, July 17th.
Okay.
Which I believe is
great.
like
it's a great summer. I feel like in the recent years we haven't had great summer blockbusters, right? We had Top Gun Maverick like 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Great summer blockbuster. Getting the Odyssey in the middle of July, kind of in the not really the doldrums of summer, but something to kind of.
This is one of those movies like it's 90 degrees outside, you're sweating. It's super humid, and then you just go inside a nice, cool theater, hear the popcorn machines going, popping.
Get a Coke Icy,
sit down and watch a.
And they said it's going to be under 3 hours. I saw.
That's good. Which crazy? That's July 17th, and I think a couple weeks later is Spider-Man: Brand New Day.
Oh yeah,
which has Tom Holland and Zendaya in it.
Do you want to talk about that trailer? So that's one of the trailers you really wanted to talk about.
Yeah. So that was basically our second main story of CinemaCon. And a lot of it, honestly, was just either announcements for new movies, or trailers and snippets of basically movies that are coming out soon. Like Toy Story 5 got a new look. I was just thinking about that.
I don't think I've even seen Toy Story 4. That's bad on me, so I need to go watch that. I actually might do a Toy Story rewatch and watch them all.
I watched Toy Story, the first one, a few weeks ago.
Film.
I was just sitting. It was it's 8 a.m. with the baby. I'm just like.
If I have to watch all those movies in a row in a span of like a month, I will put the odds at me crying during one of those movies at like minus 1,000.
I'll take those.
Especially the one with I think it's Jessie when she goes away. Is that 2 or 3?
When like her backstory?
Yeah.
That was number 2.
Okay, yeah, that song. I don't know who sings it. I can't remember who sings it.
Yeah,
They've
that's
sung that
right,
on American Idol Disney Night, and it's just like, dude, I can't watch. That song just makes me sad.
Yeah, and I'm sure this Toy Story 5 won't be sad at all.
They got evil. What I'm sitting here with my iPad. iPad's the villain in this movie apparently.
Yeah, it's a tablet. I don't know if it's actually iPad.
Tablet.
I want to say it's called. I think it's called Lilypad. But apparently, there was a new trailer that came out with like the focus on the Lilypad and how basically no one, like I think it's Bonnie who they got. I think it was the end of Toy Story 3. They went to Bonnie. I could be wrong, but I think Andy dropped off all of his toys with them, and then with her, and then Toy Story 4 I think is like more of an adventure outside of the house. Forky, yes, okay. Toy Story 4.
I have not seen.
It was pretty good. Do you know how it ends?
No.
Okay.
So no spoilers.
I'll tell you. I mean, no one dies or anything. They're toys.
Well, yeah, but still. Is it 3 where you think they're all gonna die into the incinerator? Yes, they're in
like the incinerator, and it stops at the end. Yeah. God. I saw that movie with Mom.
Can't, dude. Yeah, it's hard.
I was like, that's tough.
But yeah, anyway.
But this one I believe is like, I don't know if it's Bonnie or somebody else, but they don't want to play with their toys anymore because they have an iPad, which I mean,
great.
Welcome to 2026.
Great.
Which makes perfect sense.
Yeah, well.
So I think it's going to be a great premise, and really excited to see how that turns out.
But anyway, going back to Spider-Man.
Yeah, that one I'm pretty excited about. So basically, this is the second trilogy, Tom Holland trilogy. So you had the first 3, No Way Home. Homecoming, Far From Home, and then No Way Home. And now this one, it seems like it's Brand New Day, so I wonder if Day is going to be like the theme of these ones.
I think he's going to do more than just this one.
Well, I don't know if Tom Holland signed a contract to do 2 more, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be another trilogy.
I mean, he looks young enough to pull off Spider-Man, but so it feels like in these movies, Spider-Man's not technically supposed to age, but obviously he gets older, right? So, but going back, it's like we grew up with Tobey Maguire as our Spider-Man, right?
Yeah.
That was our era, and then I'll be honest, I haven't seen any of the Andrew Garfield ones.
There's only 2 of them. They weren't as good as either the
originals.
But I think he played the Spider-Man character very well.
Yeah.
I've seen them both. I really liked him as Spider-Man, but
I originally wasn't with Tom Holland, Again, this is when I started watching all the Marvel movies right before we saw Endgame, but I think he's done a fantastic job, and the trailer seems, obviously, if you guys know how No Way Home ended, this movie seems very, I mean, dark's maybe not the right word, but it seems very like grunge dark kind of like Spider-Man, which I think it could do super well.
Oh, I think it will. I think Spider-Man is, quote unquote, like recession proof, where even if the series is down or if Marvel is, quote unquote down, which I don't think they are, they're just not as high as they were before. I think people will go see Spider-Man no matter what, because it's almost everyone's favorite character, Superman characters. Or,
I mean, between him,
superhero character,
Captain America, Iron Man, Batman, Superman, like people are going to go see those.
Yeah, because
everyone knows who they are.
Right, and they'll have just seen Tom Holland in the Odyssey, so a couple weeks later, they'll be like, all right, I'm going to come see Spider-Man. But yeah, just like the trailer itself, it looks really good. He's battling different people. Frank Castle, who is the Punisher, it's John Bernthal. He was in Daredevil, like all the Daredevil seasons. He was in last season Daredevil. He's actually getting his own special in a few weeks.
Nice.
Which I'm excited for too. But it seems like it's like not low level, like friendly neighborhood threat.
More street cred kind of.
Yeah. It's basically like Daredevil is and the Punisher. Like it's contained within New York, and it's not something that's gonna cause the world to end kind of villain. So looking really forward to that. And another superhero movie we're looking at as well is Supergirl. Yeah. They just came out with another trailer at CinemaCon.
Yeah, that looks, I'll be honest, like it feels, the crazy thing for me is like DC, you could argue, has the 2 biggest superheroes of all time with Superman and Batman.
Right.
But they just have never figured out how to match Marvel's MCU with their DCU. But it seems that since James Gunn has taken over, it kind of seems like there's a little bit of, I wouldn't say resurgence in DC stuff, but it seems like they're starting to hit on casting, on direction of the films, on how they want to go about it, and it's not just kind of like a bunch of stuff just thrown at the wall.
Right.
Like they actually have direction.
They actually have a guy at the top leading and actually, putting the effort in, like James Gunn, who literally was just in, Marvel doing all the Guardian stuff. And it seems, I mean, compared to like what the DC, I guess it was DCEU before, maybe it's DCU now, with like Henry Cavill and Ben Affleck. Like those were a lot darker movies.
I mean, they're not bad movies.
They're not bad,
but
no.
There's just, I think, so much more potential they can get out of these movies.
Yeah, and I think.
Go ahead.
I think with like the excitement, not the excitement, like Marvel putting out so much new content in the last 5 years. I think people are starting to kind of go over to the DC side as they're kind of revamping everything. So I think the excitement for DC is now there to match what Marvel has.
Yeah, I think after seeing the Superman movie last year, I think it was number 14 in my 2025 final rankings. That felt very comic booky.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
It's hard to describe it to people who don't really pay that much attention to comic book movies, superhero movies in the sense, but it's starting to feel like this also has that feel to it. Maybe not as much as Superman did, but with this movie in particular, I think, obviously, have you seen anything with Millie Alcock? She was in
Game of Thrones. Or no,
she was in House of the
Dragon.
So she played the younger version of Rhaenyra Targaryen, and she was fantastic in that show.
Okay.
And after seeing her in obviously the post-credit scene of Superman and in the trailer, I think, she's on the rise in terms of acting. I think she's going to do a fantastic job.
Yeah. And we saw her for what, like a minute at the end of the Superman movie.
Mm-hmm. Was that a post-credit scene or was that just the end of the movie? Remember?
I think it was the end of the movie. I don't know if it was post-credits. Maybe it was. But yeah, I'm really excited for it. It feels this is not directed by James Gunn, I don't believe.
Okay.
But it feels very James Gunny because I feel like a lot of it's going to be in space and on different planets.
That's fantastic.
It's a very Guardians Galaxy kind of feel.
I was just about to say that. Guardians feel.
A lot of colors. I mean, just like the Superman movie was last year.
Yeah.
A lot of colors, like, the needle drops with the songs before like a big battle or big fight.
I think casting obviously is super important, especially as DC tries to come back up. Because the casting in Superman I thought was fantastic. And I think in this one, obviously, who's Jason Momoa playing again?
Lobo. Because he was Aquaman, obviously, in the last iteration of DC.
Yes.
But apparently he's always wanted to be Lobo.
I mean, just looking at the comic book version of him,
it looks just like him,
doesn't it? It looks just like Jason Momoa.
A guy who smokes a cigar and rides a motorcycle, essentially.
It's Jason Momoa to a
That's
team.
Jason Momoa to a team.
Yeah. That's exciting. I'm excited for that one.
Yeah. That should be really good.
And one I'm super excited about. I know we touched on it, obviously, with Avengers coming out, but that's Dune Part 3.
Dune.
I don't, going back to when we were growing up, like, we didn't see a lot of movies. We saw a handful of ones that we actually really wanted to see. And I really don't remember a lot of movie trailers, per se. But I watched that because you sent it to me, I think, on X. It's like, hey, Dune Part 3 just dropped. And I told myself, hey, I'm going to wait till I get home to put it on my soundbar, put it on my Dolby Atmos headphones.
Yeah.
That might be the best movie trailer I think I've ever seen.
It's pretty crazy, isn't it?
It's just everything about it, the visuals of that movie, the music, kind of, they didn't give anything away, and they still were able to produce a trailer that just gets you so hyped.
Yeah.
Like, so hyped. And this cast obviously is going to be, I mean, the cast in this film is fantastic. Yep. I mean, Timothée Chalamet in his third iteration of this movie, I still thought he should have won potentially an Oscar last year. I know I think he got nominated for his Bob Dylan character in A Complete Unknown, but he didn't get nominated for Dune Part 2. I thought that was one of my favorite roles he's ever done. But I mean, with Rebecca Ferguson, Florence Pugh, Christopher Walken,
and now Robert Pattinson.
I mean,
we
can get into Robert Pattinson in a bit, but
because last Dune Part 2, the villain was what's his
Austin
name?
Butler.
Austin Butler.
Fantastic.
And he looks very similar to Robert Pattinson's character in this. Like, I mean, it's obviously like where they are in the plan and everything, but like the bald look, like no hair.
He's a Harkonnen then, Robert Pattinson. That's not confirmed, is it? I don't know.
You would know better than me. I'm not sure.
I should know this. This is bad.
But he is supposedly like the villain, right?
I think so. But again, you can't really tell from the trailer.
But Paul Atreides might be the villain.
Yeah, I mean, it's that trailer just.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's cinema, right? Like,
it's
you
cinema.
See that,
that's why you go to the movies, and I'm bummed. And we were talking about this last week because, we have this is going to be in the IMAX, right? But we talked about going to see it in IMAX. We don't have one here in Columbus.
No.
So I asked you if you wanted to go travel to Indianapolis because it doesn't make sense why Indy has one and we don't. But
no, we have one. I think Kosai has it, but it's not. It's like a legit IMAX screen, but it's not for movies. No, like we don't have an AMC theater here or a Cinemark or whatever that has an actual IMAX.
People would go and see this in that theater.
Oh yeah, I mean, they didn't. Was this the movie? This wasn't the Odyssey. Was it Dune, the movie where they did like a year pre-sale, a year in advance, where they said you can buy tickets to see it in IMAX or something like that? And a bunch of people, like, it sold out within seconds, and people were like trying to resell their.
Yeah, I sent it to you. Someone tried to sell their ticket. I don't know if it was real or not, but I saw it on X or Instagram that they were trying to sell their ticket for like $900.
Yeah.
Like, no.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I get it because someone would probably pay for that, but no, that movie looks incredible. I mean, I didn't even touch on Rebecca Ferguson, Javier Bardem. Like,
oh yeah, that's right, Javier Bardem.
I mean, just you're talking about just a group of Josh Brolin. I mean, and I originally, when I first saw the first Dune movie, we saw it with a bunch of our friends, and I didn't know anything about Dune. I didn't read the books, and we talked about it, and I was like, oh, the movie was good. It wasn't my favorite, but it was all right. And then I remember watching it maybe like a year or two later, and I'm like, holy shit, this movie's fantastic.
Yeah.
And then after seeing Dune Part 2, the first part of Dune Part 2 was good, and then that second half of that movie, the last like hour and a half, was just cinema. And this is looking like it's going to be cinema.
For sure. And each movie has its, its slower parts, but cinematography of it, the sound, like you mentioned, like watching this on your, your TV with your sound bar and all that stuff. It's worth like the 2.5 hours for me. I know there's going to be like some lull moments and, points where it's kind of boring.
That's why you go see
it's
movies.
A lot of exposition and all that. I'm like, I don't care. That's still like,
can't be like Barney Stinson where you're all just straight rising. You can't, you have to have some dull moments.
Well, that's good. All right. Before we get into our main review, I wanted to do a like quick hit section. So essentially every week we're going to go through like maybe 4 or 5 news stories where I will say something, or I'll say one of the stories. You'll give like a 1-sentence answer, or you'll get 10 seconds to answer with whatever you want.
Interesting.
And then we'll flip it. You'll ask me one, and then I'll do the same. But this week we only have 2.
Top Gun 3 is in the works. Tom Cruise is returning, as is producer Jerry Bruckheimer.
Okay, so 10 seconds answer. It's going to be excellent, I think, based on what the last Top Gun was. I believe the director's not coming back for it.
No, he's not.
So it'll be somebody new, but I'm curious what the story's going to be because I thought it ended pretty well last time. But again, if Tom Cruise is in, it's going to be cinema. So it's not going to matter.
Great.
All right. AMC Theaters this last week, and we both got these emails, announced that they're adding big screens in their lobbies to show more ads, in addition to the ones you'll see before, actually seeing the movie in the theater. And A-List is once again getting raised a couple dollars. So it'll be, I believe, $25.99 a month for the people in our region.
I mean, ads. I mean, we saw Project Hail Mary, and there were ads during where it should have been trailers, and I'm like, what are we doing? And I get it. I mean, obviously the movie industry's people are, it's not making a lot of money compared to what it used to be. A lot of streaming things like that. So I get why they're doing the ads. I mean, do we really need TVs with ads in the theater? No. I mean, no one's gonna be paying attention to them. Increasing the prices, I get it.
Yeah.
Obviously, the deal when it first came out, great deal. You're still not getting upcharged for any of the high-end theaters like the Dolby, the Prime, but as long as they keep, getting their lines better in concession stands where you're not sitting there waiting for 20 minutes in the A-list line while they get to see the regular people. That's my only gripe.
Exactly. I pay good money to be ahead of the line to get my popcorn first and to see 4 movies a week, which
I need to take advantage of. Obviously
4 weeks is just, or 4 movies a week. Like no one's, I mean, very rare, maybe the 1% of people.
No, but like I said, if you see 1 movie a month on average with the prices now of movies, especially in Dolby and IMAX, like it pays for itself.
Right. So speaking of big movies, we are now into our main review. Let's talk about Project Hail Mary.
Yeah.
So Project Hail Mary we saw recently in theaters, directed by Phil Lord and Chris Miller, starring Ryan Gosling, Sandra Hüller, and then James Ortiz, who voices Rocky. So synopsis via Rotten Tomatoes, just for everybody to know. Science teacher Ryland Grace, played by Ryan Gosling, wakes up on a spaceship light years from home with no recollection of who he is or how he got there. As his memory returns, he begins to uncover his mission, solve the riddle of the mysterious substance causing the sun to die. He must call on his scientific knowledge and unorthodox ideas to save everything on Earth from extinction. But an unexpected friendship means he may not have to do it alone. So currently this movie's out in theaters. I think it's coming to...
It's not going to be streaming for a while. They just said they're keeping it in theaters for a while because it's making
it's so much money. Yeah, I figured. So Project Hail Mary, initial thoughts.
I think you and I touched on this.
Yeah.
I could not have imagined anyone playing that character the way they had him play other than Ryan Gosling. I don't think anyone could have played that better than he did. I said in the aftermath maybe Glenn Powell, but
That movie was fantastic, and I had read the book right before the movie came out. I've never. It's weird with me. Sometimes I read books before movies. Sometimes I see a TV show and then read the book. This one I decided to read the book first, to kind of get an idea of what was going on. That movie just hit you. It's so much like they got you emotionally, but they got you laughing, and it was just that type of humor where it's just like, it's just good humor.
Yeah.
Like, you're not doing fart jokes. You're not making stupid quips at people. It's just like humor that you would see like in regular life.
Yeah.
Right. I thought it was fantastic. It's one of the, I think it's in the top echelon of space movies, but I loved it.
Yeah, no, I thought it was fantastic. And just like you, my one sentence kind of reaction to it is that Ryan Gosling was perfect for this role. I read this book actually right around a year ago at this time. So at the time it was weird because there wasn't a lot of info about this movie that was out. All that had been announced was that it was becoming a movie because it's based on, the book by Andy Weir, who also wrote The Martian, which is a fantastic book and movie as well. But this one, when I read it at this time last year, knowing that Ryan Gosling was going to be, Ryland Grace, I'm like, I pictured the whole reading the whole book with him.
Yes, that's exactly how I did it.
And it's been a year, so obviously, like, I missed some stuff here and there, but yeah, I couldn't pick the better person to like run that role. He's got the soft side to him, the dramatic side to him, but he also has like the comedic chops.
Yes,
where just like some one-liners, some quippy, like,
look at the first. Not to get into spoilers, it's not even a spoiler. In the first part of the movie, the robot comes down and tries to shave his beard, and he just screams.
Yeah,
like it's just like one of those little things where it's like that shouldn't be funny,
right?
But because it's Ryan Gosling, the way he did it, hilarious.
Yeah, I don't know if it's just like his facial expressions and just like the random noises he makes, but that kind of humor for this kind of movie was like spot on. Some things that you thought like worked really well with this movie.
I mean, I can just, keep going to the well, but I thought Ryan Gosling did the character of Ryland Grace it was the way he portrayed after reading the book and then watching him on the screen. I thought it was just phenomenal. I mean, it kind of gave me at points in the movie. It was like I was watching him in Barbie as Ken, like the humor.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like just like his joking kind of side. But then, you watch his other movies, him in The Notebook. Like, it's just he brings out that emotional side that.
We'll get into spoilers, but
yeah,
there's some more practical stuff in this movie.
Yeah. I mean, I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was, I think it's going to be, I don't know if you guys know this, but I see a bunch of movies throughout the year. At the end of the year, usually right around Oscar season, once the Oscar noms come out, the day of the Oscars, I usually post my movie rankings of the movies I saw. They have to come out in the year that I watched them. So this came out in 2026, so all my movies for my 2026 rankings will be 2026 movies.
Right.
I think this has a potential to be in that top 10, 15.
Yeah.
Coming into the year. They did it's really hard. Like we talked about, it's really hard to convert a book to a movie. It's not easy because you have to leave stuff out.
You have to leave details out. Yeah.
You can't put everything into it, and we'll get into it, here in a minute. But I thought for the most part they did a pretty good job of including what mattered the most and cutting out some fluff that probably wasn't necessary.
Right. There was a lot of the science stuff in there that they kind of didn't really bypass, but didn't really have to explain, because it was, there's so much detail. Andy Weir, who wrote the book, like really gets into that stuff.
Very detailed.
And like kind of works with NASA. I mean, NASA basically has to like approve of your book in a way when you convert it to a movie, like to use their
terminology, things like that.
Oh, that and like he had the patent that NASA
the
patches,
NASA patch. Yeah.
It was all sponsored by NASA.
Okay.
Which was the same thing in The Martian.
So NASA basically wants to be like, hey, let's read this first to make sure some of this is like not.
I'm not sure if Interstellar was that way. I can't remember. But there's some other space movies that were like NASA. I don't know if they like put like a stamp of approval on it, but essentially, if you want to use their image, their
likeness,
all that kind of stuff, they have to basically say like, okay, this makes sense. So like,
gotcha.
Andy Weir really got into the science of this stuff and tried to explain it as well as he could. And obviously, this is fiction, but the way he explained it in the book made it very realistic. And there's just some of that stuff you just can't put in the movie. It's just because it's already 2.5 hours long.
Sure.
Like you have to cut out some stuff.
Did not feel like 2.5 hours, by the way.
No, it went. To me, it felt really fast.
Yeah.
But I mean, it is what it is in terms of cutting out stuff, but like you said, it's so hard to convert a book to a movie, especially like when you read it like right before you saw the movie.
Yes, I came into it fresh.
You came into it fresh, and when you come into it fresh like that, you can see every detail that they either missed or that they included, or you know.
Sure, and that was part of one of my things that I think didn't work. And I don't have many gripes with this movie, but you know, in the book, like you just talked about, he really does get into the detail of the science behind stuff, and I felt like they maybe shortchanged that a smidge. They barely, I mean, they talked about, you know, what was causing the sun to die out, and that's kind of it. That's kind of where they left it. They didn't really get into the fine details of what this is, what it's doing, all the different things that went into why they were on this mission. I kind of wish they got into a little bit more, and I don't know how they would have done it, you know, throughout the film, but that was kind of one of my only gripes.
Yeah. Yeah,
obviously we'll get into spoilers for the end. That was also a little bit of one of my gripes.
Yeah, yeah, and I think like with the book, a lot of the storytelling was through like Grace's point of view, like his own thoughts. So they had a character in there. Was it Carl? Was his name?
Carl.
So basically, it was like his thoughts manifested into a human, because in a movie, it's almost, you know, impossible to like have. I mean, it's not impossible to have a voiceover of the main character talking about his thoughts, but
sure.
At the same time, it's better storytelling visually to have like a character help him through that. So that was obviously slightly different than the book, but I thought having that in there, yeah, because of that, they took out some detail of some of the science that Ryan and Grace had to go through. But overall, I think it added to the storytelling element. And from my point of view, I think the really the only thing that didn't work, and again, this is not, again, like you mentioned, it's not a gripe. This movie is very good, but I think the character development of everyone outside of the three main characters, well, we know two of them, we'll get into the other one. There just wasn't a lot of them to talk about. Like in the book, the other astronauts that are part of this mission, there's a I don't say like there's like a chapter on each one, or at least like they get into detail of like Riley Grace kind of.
It's not as much as you think.
Okay.
It's not as much as you think, because I was thinking about that. Because I was always, when I was watching the book, when I was reading the book, I was like, okay, they talked about his two other astronauts with him. Ooh, I really want to know more about these people. But they didn't really get in depth about them.
Yeah.
But I think that, again, that's another part. I think they did actually a pretty good job of kind of like going back and forth, right? Yeah. Going to what's currently happening on the ship, and then previously how he got to where he was.
Right. And how he did that in the book.
And that's what they did in the book.
That was perfect. Yeah, perfect. I thought that was perfectly executed.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, with the characters in this type of movie, it's honestly, it's very similar to The Martian, where you have one guy who's stranded out on his own. So a lot of the book or the movie is about that one character.
Correct.
So it relies heavily on that acting performance to drive the movie.
I don't think anyone else could have done it besides Ryan Gosling.
Exactly. So like the other characters in the book, while they get some time and some dialogue in the book, they don't hardly get any in the movie at all. Which again, I think they fit well for this movie.
Yeah,
I think this is exactly what it wanted to do. Okay, let's get into a little bit of spoilers. So this, the twist, I guess, which I don't know if it's really a twist. I mean, it was kind of given away in the trailer. Well, there's kind of two twists to the movie. The first twist being he meets an alien. Sure. Which is Rocky, which was actually, for a lot of the movie, was a puppet. It was a puppet. And I believe it was James Ortiz who, I want to say, did the sound for him too, but also did the puppeteering. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's what it was.
Does he have an experience of puppeteering?
I have no idea. I haven't done enough research into him. But apparently he is eligible potentially to get a nomination for like Best Supporting Actor.
Oh, that's incredible.
And like incredible. Next year's Oscars or, Golden Globes or different award shows. But yeah, that's one of the main spoilers, is that Grace is out there by himself, has no idea what's going on, and then all of a sudden sees that there's another ship, and discovers that there's an alien and going through the same thing, that his own planet is dying.
Yep.
He has to figure out a way to save it, but it's not your traditional alien. Like I mentioned, it's a puppet.
No.
It's like a giant rock
spider.
Right?
Yeah, that's how he talked about it in the book. He kind of just, because visually I hadn't seen the trailer, so I had in my own mind of what I thought Rocky looked like, and they did a pretty good job of kind of what I thought he would look like.
Oh yeah, I thought it looked great.
Yeah.
So it's like he communicates via like sound waves. Is that kind of how
sound
it
waves?
So he doesn't really have eyes.
And so Rylan had software.
Yeah.
So anytime he would say something, the sound wave would come through, and then he would say it's very obviously, who knows?
Right.
But the way they went about it, fantastic.
Yeah, like Rocky would make a noise when he would ask, when Grace would ask him a question about something, and he's like, "What is your name?" And then makes a random noise, and he's like, "Okay, I'm gonna
program
that to be Rocky."
Yes.
Because he's like, "That's what I'm gonna call you." So basically, essentially, by the end of the movie, they were able to have conversations where he could talk in English, Rocky could respond. It goes through the computer and just
spits it out in the voice that they used.
Yeah. Which I believe was this guy, Ortiz. And then the other twist is at the very end, when they're both they both figure out the issue, or they're able to get, set course for home. What is
Spoilers,
it? Grace,
spoilers are ahead.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Grace realizes that the Talmiba is what they call it, right?
Talmiba.
From the planet that they were, that was killing the astrophage.
Yes.
They were able to take that stuff, pack it in, and take it home to destroy it on their own.
Yes, correct. And he gave a bunch of it to Rocky, but then obviously as he's leaving to go home, Rocky gave him a bunch of astrophage to get him home because Ryland didn't have enough fuel.
Yeah. So
he gave him enough, and as he's, kind of charting home, 5 alarm bells started going off, and he found out there was a leak.
Yep.
With the Talmiba, and they were getting basically through the ship, and he had to figure out a way to make sure it didn't get to the fuel.
Right.
And he came to the realization that it was the Xenonite. It was able to get through the Xenonite.
Which Xenonite is like what Rocky's whole ship is made out of, right?
Yes. So at that moment, he's like, shit, Rocky doesn't even know, and he's going to die.
Yeah.
He won't be able to get home. So he made the choice. Obviously, the twist was, does he continue to go home? I mean, he's never going to see this alien ever again. But clearly in that time period when he was up there, I can't remember exactly how long he was there with him for, him and Rocky together. Clearly with the no human contact and being able to bond with him, he felt he had a duty. And I think that kind of fulfilled why he did what he did. Obviously, him getting on the ship wasn't his choice. But I think he realized the sacrifice he made to do what he's doing to save the planet.
Yeah.
He's like, why don't I go save someone else when I can if I'm not potentially even going to make it back?
Right.
And that was super brave and super like his realization, his character arc.
Yeah. Because I mean, the whole movie is basically a guy, I don't call him a coward, but like he didn't, when he realized he was going to be the one that had to go on the ship on the mission, he was refusing it, wouldn't acknowledge it.
I would have, sorry.
Well, for sure. But I think throughout the movie, he realizes more and more that become more of a selfless human being. And of course, when Rocky saved him.
Correct. And I think that kind of is where
extracting the Talmiba, right?
Yes.
That's outside the ship, and everything kind of hell broke loose, and Rocky essentially saved him.
Yes.
From his death.
Basically sacrificed himself. And in the book, obviously that's another part in the book where it's kind of like Rocky died and he's trying to fix him and he brings him back. But Rocky basically broke out of his Xenonite ball and saved him because he knew, I had to say.
Right. He needs, and essentially almost, killed himself over it.
Yeah.
So Grace was like, all right, I got to save him. And it's the right thing to do. And of course he goes back to save Rocky, but when he does that, he's not going to have enough fuel to come back
Correct.
home.
That was the dilemma. It's like, I'm either going to go save him and I'll figure it out, or I go home. And he made the choice to go save Rocky. And, the end of the movie happens, and it's a little bit different than how the book ended. From what I remember, obviously having read it a few weeks ago, he gets to Rocky's planet, which did they call it Adrian? No, it's 40 Iridian. Was that his planet? Yeah, 40 Iridian. Because he's an Iridian, Rocky. Yeah. And he gets to his planet, and he kind of has his own space, and they kind of basically built him San Francisco.
Yeah.
With the fog, the beach, the water. In the book, however, it's just a dark planet because they don't have eyes.
Right.
So they work in sound waves. So he had to get a special thing in the book of how he had to live in the darkness.
Yeah.
And in the movie, it's hard because you want to make it to where it's like, all right, let's do it for the viewers. Like, let's make it something that's like exciting, that gets people happy. And obviously how they ended it makes it seem like, he's happy, he's teaching.
Right, he's teaching all the little kids.
Little
Rockies.
Little Rockies, little Iridians.
Yeah.
Open for interpretation because it looks like he told him at the end of the movie that his ship was ready to go back.
Yeah.
Now,
I don't remember. Was that in the book? Did Rocky ever mention to Grace that there was a chance for him to go home?
I
don't remember.
It's bad that I just read this, but I read it so fast in a span of like 5 days. Yeah. I think so, but I don't know that as
maybe it wasn't presented as it was in the movie.
I don't think it was.
Like the way it was presented, his like reaction, like there's a legit chance I can maybe go home.
Yeah.
Which supposedly there might be
a second book
in a sequel movie. One, just because this movie's done so well, but two, I think the opportunity to see if Grace decides to go home and how he gets home.
Bring Rocky.
Then I think the other like small part of it might be the story of the astronauts who died on his ship.
Mm-hmm.
could be explained on how they died, because it never was explained in the book, right? It was just like they might have gotten.
No, they explain it in the book, and that's another thing I had a gripe with a little bit, is kind of like how he got on the ship. In the book, it seemed like a pretty huge twist, because they were talking about they had to get put under, basically not in a coma, but basically sleep, hibernation.
Yeah.
And they had to have specific genes in order to even get put into hibernation in order to survive the length of time.
Right. Yeah.
So that's how, when the other astronaut died in the movie, that's how Grace ended up going, because he actually tested for it.
Right.
And he had the genes.
Yep.
But in the movie, they just said, like, hey, you're going in because we know you. But clearly the other astronauts didn't survive. I mean, they had the genes, but it was just a luck of the draw that he was the one who survived that long journey.
Right.
Because clearly they died in hibernation.
Right.
I can't remember your question.
It was about like how they actually died in their comas. Like,
yes.
I think did they die because they because I think the robot that was on the ship was only there to make sure that they got the sufficient like food and water and all that stuff.
Yes.
But if someone had cancer or developed cancer over this trip, then they would have died.
Correct.
So we'll never. I mean, we may know if they decide to do a sequel.
But no, they didn't talk about it.
Yeah.
Of how they died in the book.
That's what I thought. No. It was just kind of a mystery.
No. You want to get into the rating for this?
Yeah, let's do it. So, let's give our ratings and then kind of give our final verdict.
Okay. Are you gonna? So before we get this done, Ellie and I have been ranking movies for the last handful of years, and we kind of been tweaking this system of how we go about ranking the movies, because obviously you could just say like, oh, I like this movie, I'll give it a 92,
right?
Or I didn't like this movie, so I'll give it a 78. So we've been kind of toying with a bunch of different ranking systems from people that we follow, from movie sites that we like, and how they rank their movies. So do you want to get into what your ranking system is?
So I have a kind of unique-ish ranking system. It's been a combination of a bunch of different stuff over the last few years, but I finally came to like once we decided we're going to do a podcast, I'm like, all right, I should have like a definitive way I rank movies, or at least score them. So I have essentially two categories. I have my primary categories, which is story / script, and then characters / acting.
Okay, so get into so when you say story versus script, when you're ranking it out of the 25 points, like you said, what are you looking for in terms of story script? Just quickly, because I don't want to drag it on too long.
Yep. So story is just essentially the overall like story, right? Like what's the movie about, or what's the movie about? And then script is essentially like, how do they write this into
how is it written? Because you can tell when movies are like, oh, that script was not great. Like, it just seems like
the stories are like, oh, this guy is lost in space. How did he get here? Who knows? But then if the script is poorly written in terms of how he comes to the realization that he's lost in space and how he gets home,
sure,
it could be disastrous.
Then obviously characters are acting pretty self-explanatory. That's the characters in the movie, the characters, like how they are, who they are as people, how they develop throughout the entire film, and then obviously the actors who do the acting of those said characters.
You could have really good acting, but the characters themselves that they're portraying are not very good or very well.
Or you're not interested in them.
Right. I got you. So those are both out of 25. So that makes up 50% of my rankings. Okay. So those four, I mean, they're within their own two categories, or within primary categories. Story and script is one, characters acting is another. Those are like the two most like important parts of a movie for me.
Sure.
So that's why it's that those two account for 50%. And then secondary categories, I have 5, so they're all at a 10. Okay. So that makes up the last 50%. So you have direction and execution, entertainment value, originality / creativity, emotional impact, and then personal bias and enjoyment.
Yeah, I like that. I like having that personal bias, because I know the last ranking system you and I did, that was one of the main focuses. It was it was half was just your own personal, okay, what do you think of this movie out of 50?
Right. So if you're trying to compare, like, with this system, I think it's easier to compare a movie like The Godfather to like Avengers or Toy Story. Sure. Like, that like an Avengers movie is not going to be, an Oscar winner. It's not going to, rack up all these awards. Correct. Whereas A Godfather, did and would. But in terms of personal bias and enjoyment, like I can get both those. I can get 10 out of 10s on.
Sure. Okay.
Emotional impact, obviously, how does this make me feel?
So emotional impact quickly. So emotional impact, that's basically how the characters made you feel, how you felt about the film, what the film felt when you felt it. Like, not like emotional impact of like, oh, emotional impact to everyone else, the world.
Right. Okay. Right. Yeah. Like, it's not like some movies try to be emotional and try to show like this character has certain feelings about a situation, and it can be, come off as corny, come off as fake. So I kind of want to make sure I judge that properly. Okay. And that, the other three, like I mentioned, originality and creativity. Is it just a, sequel slop, or is it like an original idea, whether it's based off a book or if it's, just written on its own?
Sure.
Entertainment value, like, again,
that's given. That's
value.
just like what you think of when you go see a movie. Like, is this cinema?
Yeah, exactly. And then obviously direction, execution. So my score, and I'll give mine, then I'll let you go through yours. Story and script, I gave 23 out of 25. Characters and acting, I gave it 23 out of 25. And then for my secondary categories, they were all 10 out of 10s, except direction and execution, I put a 9.
Okay.
Which, so again, nearly perfect.
Yeah.
So that gave me a total score of 95 out of 100.
95. Yep. I like it.
Which is very rare. I mean, a lot of really good movies for me are between 90 and 95. So if it's a 95, that means it's pretty damn good in my eyes.
Yeah. I mean, I'm right there. I think I was a notch below you. Yeah, I was. So two main categories, story, script, I gave that a 21 out of 25. I think a couple of the gripes that I had, converting it over from the book to the movie, kind of didn't leave a sour taste in my mouth, but I was kind of wanting more. And then characters and acting, I had a point higher. I had a 24. I just thought Ryan Gosling was, he was like, it was just incredible the way he acted and the way he portrayed that character, going from, not really, like you said, not really wanting to be there, to how did I get here, to I got to save the world. I have to do this. I have to be brave. I have to be brave for not only him, for his planet, for Rocky, for their planet. And then I had the same for the secondary categories. I had all 10s except for direction, execution.
Yeah.
Because execution wise, obviously the direction I thought was fantastic and I would have given it a 10, but I think the execution of it, especially at the end, I think you can kind of tie the ending into the execution of the movie. Like, do they execute exactly what they wanted to do? And I think they did, but for me, I think it was just a smidge off. But again, that's nitpicking.
Yeah.
It's a 9 out of 10.
Yeah. Right.
So I gave it a 94 out of 100.
All right. So 94 for you, 95 for me. So clearly it's a very good movie. We would watch it again. I can't wait till it comes out, streaming, so I can put it on my TV.
That's something you put on like on a Saturday night when you're not doing anything and you want to go out, just throw that thing on and just enjoy.
Yeah, exactly. So what we want to do now is give our final joint rating of watch now. So if we think it's a really good movie, we want you to watch it right now because it's that good. If we think it's a good movie, but maybe not great, still good, watch later. And then if it's a bad movie and we clearly did not like it, it's watch never.
I like it.
So I think we're both in agreement that this is a watch now.
Watch now. Yeah. Absolutely. Watch now. Don't wait. Go see this movie if you can while it's still in theaters.
Yep. It's still on theaters. I know it's been like a month since it came out, but there are still a lot of showings.
Because there's going to be a lull between once it leaves theaters to when it comes to streaming. So go watch this, please.
It will. This will be dropped before it leaves theaters. So
okay. Well, that's good.
Guarantee it.
So yeah, when all you people subscribe and you guys need movies to watch and you haven't seen this yet, go do yourself a favor. You're not doing anything on a Tuesday night, Wednesday night, and you have some free time. Go grab a popcorn, go sit back, get in a nice recliner chair, and just put this on, and you're gonna walk out that theater like, damn, that movie was everything a movie should be.
Yeah.
So I loved it. Fantastic. Watch now.
And you don't have to love space to love it either. I think the character of Ryland Grace, played by Ryan Gosling, is fantastic enough to where you can relate and not have to always,
correct,
be like, oh, this is a space movie. I'm tired of space movies or don't love space movies. Trust me, you'll still love it.
Yeah.
No matter what. All right, let's get into our last segment. This last segment, like we mentioned at the top, is called What's on Our Minds. So essentially we give each person a few minutes to talk about what they've been up to lately or what they've been watching lately. Sure. So I may have been watching some TV or movies that Eric hasn't watched and vice versa. So Eric, I'll let you go first.
Okay. I got all my 2025 movies done. I've started watching bits and pieces of other movies that because obviously with us, we're going to start doing Letterboxd. We're going to start posting our big reviews for movies on our Instagrams and stuff like that and on our Letterboxd. So come find us on Letterboxd. But we'll start posting all those. So I've been watching old movies that I haven't seen in a while. So I watched, last couple weeks, I've watched Interstellar, The Dark Knight, Christopher Nolan movies. I've watched All the President's Men, Inception, watching Casino Royale right now. So just having those on at night before I go to bed, I put those on. Other than that, I've been watching American Idol weekly. Katie, my fiance, and I watch American Idol with my mom. I've been watching that since probably the second or third season. Talent this season has been phenomenal. They had Disney night last night. Jennifer Hudson was the special guest judge / mentor, which I didn't know she was the first ever. She was the youngest female ever to win an EGOT, which is insane.
Really?
And I think she got like third or fourth on American Idol when she was on it. Talent's through the roof. You don't really know who's going to win. There's so many people who you could think like, oh, I could see that person winning, but one week they're not great, one week they're not good. There was a girl on here last night who just absolutely balled out, but the week before she wasn't great, and she actually got voted off last night. So
No.
they're down to 7, so they eliminate 2 people a week. So I've been watching that. It's been fantastic. I'm big into wrestling. Love WWE. I didn't pick it up. I didn't really watch it. We didn't watch it as kids, but just scrolling through the channels when I was like 21, I flipped it on back in 2014. Saw the Undertaker on there, and I'm like, oh, what's this? This looks crazy. And then the Wyatt family came on with their sheet mask and everything. I'm like, oh, this is interesting. And then I just started watching it for fun, and then eventually got to pay-per-views and live events. And you and Alex and I started watching it, our best friend Alex, and got into it. So I've been watching it dedicated ever since 2014. So this past weekend was WrestleMania 42 in Vegas. It was fantastic. I think night 1 kind of disappointed a little bit.
Yeah.
And you know, I was over here watching it with you. Matches were super short. Not a lot of good. It was good wrestling, but it just felt kind of rushed. But night 2, a lot better. A lot of title matches, a lot of really good storylines that they tied up. And then obviously, got to talk about the main event for the World Heavyweight Championship was CM Punk holding the title. He had left WWE a while ago and he came back after like 12 years away. And then obviously facing my favorite wrestler, Roman Reigns, formerly of The Shield. The entrances for both those guys, if you guys are into wrestling at all, go back and watch that match. If any of you like don't care about wrestling, it's fine. Obviously, this is for what's on my mind. But if you are and you like wrestling a little bit, go back and watch that main event. There were no interference, no, like sometimes in wrestling you have like guys come down, they interfere in the match, and some guy wins by hook or by crook. But this was just a clean wrestling match, and it just the storyline, they tied everything back in that those two have been going through for the last 2 or 3 months.
Yeah.
You could not have asked for a better main event from WrestleMania. I think it's one of the best WrestleMania main event matches I've seen. And people are talking about it, in that same ilk. So I thought it was fantastic. Tribal Chief's back on top. Got the bloodline back going with his cousins. So it's hopefully they continue on this upward trend, because I know lately WWE has been kind of not faltering a bit, but just kind of stagnating. So I think putting the belt back on Roman, getting people intrigued and interested, and then obviously some of the big news, Brock Lesnar might have retired.
Yeah, I saw that. He was like untying his boots and stuff. Yeah,
untied his boots and after he lost his match. So we don't know what's going on there. They've been very careful not to say the words retired. I think there's a storyline in there with another wrestler who might try to goad Paul Heyman, who's his manager, to bring him back out of quote-unquote retirement, and then he will officially retire him at SummerSlam, which is in Minneapolis, which is where Brock Lesnar's from. So, and then I think the wrestler it's going to be is Gunther, who was the one who retired John Cena in December, and then a month later retired AJ Styles. So I think that's kind of where they're going to go with that. But again, that's just,
Yeah.
So that's what I've been watching, trying to get more movies done, trying to update my letterbox. I'm going to get that going. So when we start getting this really going, people can go check out our letterbox, our letterbox accounts, and really see what movies we really like, what movies we don't like, and just kind of get a bunch of lists going. So that's all I've been doing. What about you?
Fantastic. So I've been into a few things recently. For this episode, I'll just go into like the TV and movies I'm watching. 4 main things right now, 3 that are coming out with new episodes weekly. Invincible, which is another superhero show. So you'll tell by this podcast and over the next several that I'm really into like the superhero genre. Yes. So I'm mainly a big Marvel guy, but I love DC too, especially with what's happened recently. And then just other superhero content. So Invincible, I've been getting into. That's new season that's out right now. I think it's season 4.
Is that on Prime?
It's on Prime.
Okay.
It's animated. But every main character is voiced by somebody you know. So Steven Yeun, who was in The Walking Dead,
one-eyed, googly-eyed Glenn.
Yeah, he voices Invincible. Jeffrey D. Morgan's in this season.
Sorry, shit.
His Invincible's dad, who is Omni-Man, his voiced by what's the guy in Farmers Insurance commercials? The guy from Ohio.
J.K. Simmons.
J.K. Simmons. Really great voice. But anyways, this season's been really, really good so far. I think the last episode that came out, I think it was episode 7. I think this week is the finale. Was like one of the highest rated superhero episodes of TV. It was like 9.9 on whatever, like
That's
IMDb or Metacritic or something. Yeah. So really good. Been watching that a lot. Daredevil, Born Again season 2.
See, I need to start.
Have you started?
No,
have you watched season 1 yet?
I watched season 1. Yes, I just got to get back in season 2. It just with that going on, playoff hockey, it's been kind of hard to carve out time to put on.
Yeah.
Shows.
That's fair. I mean, it's more that like street level stuff. So
more so than the first season.
No, about the same. Last season was the first season of it being part of the MCU, the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And then there was like 3 previous seasons when it was part of Netflix. So it was part of Marvel TV.
Oh, yeah.
Which wasn't part of Marvel Studios.
Correct.
I know it's confusing, but it wasn't part of like the greater Marvel universe. But this season's been fantastic. This season has been very, very like high paced, and there's some cameos I think that are going to come up soon.
Awesome.
I'm not going to say who, but I think there's some stuff that's going to come up.
I love cameos, especially in these types of shows. It gets you excited for more Marvel content.
Yeah, and it's been a while. I mean, like there hasn't been a ton of Marvel that's come out recently.
No, and like you and I talked about how post, pre-COVID, right around COVID time, they just started just throwing content out just to throw it out.
Right.
And it got to a point where it's like sometimes you don't need to keep putting out. You need to produce quality, not quantity.
Yep. And they kind of scaled back on that in the last couple years.
Completely scaled back on it.
Very happy with the direction they decided to go with it. But yeah, Daredevil, I mean, while it's still like street level stuff, like Kingpin, played by Vincent D'Onofrio, is he's the mayor right now of New York. There's a lot of stuff going on, but I'm really excited to see how it ends.
We're gonna have to cut out my Kingpin impression there. That was bad. I wasn't prepared.
That wasn't horrible.
I mean, I can do one, but I'm not gonna do it now. But maybe another episode, if we do like a review for like a Daredevil episode, I can talk like Kingpin. We'll see what happens. See if the people want it.
So those are the two main superhero TV shows, and The Boys. That's the last one. That's on Prime as well.
Yes.
This is the last season. We're I think 3 or 4 episodes in.
Yes,
This season's been pretty good. The first 2 seasons were good, and then it kind of hit a lull in the middle. But really good, really bloody, really gory. Like actual superheroes would be like in the real world. This is your show, because it's like some people are just ridiculous over the top, and
some people are conceited.
Some people are conceited, arrogant. Yeah, I mean there's literally every type of superhero in this show. There's, like someone who's like Ant-Man who's super small. There's people who have really...
I think I saw something with a clip of the guy who's super small once.
Grotesque powers.
Yes.
So it's incredible, like fun mess. But that show wraps up at the end. And then
you and Miley have been trying to get me to watch it for a very long time.
I mean, it should be on the list.
It's on the list. I have so many things I want to watch TV show wise, movie wise. I just got to prioritize some things. So.
Yeah. And then finally, I started Heated Rivalry last night.
Actually did.
We did.
I didn't.
So Miley, my wife, she's been watching it. She's watched the first season like multiple times already, I think, because she's really liked it. And I told her I would watch it if she went to the Des Rocks concert with me, which was last week.
That was the deal.
Well, yes. So, the original deal was if she were to watch both It movies and It Welcome to Derry, the show, with me.
Okay, so what happened?
She chickened out. So she's not into horror. She gets,
She got scared by, was it The Dark Knight?
No, Disturbia. Yeah, the movie Disturbia.
I mean, that does have some scary scenes. Another great film, by the way.
But anyways, I was really looking forward to her watching that because it is really good content. Like the It movies are really good,
fantastic.
especially the first one, and then that's another show, It Welcome to Derry, which just came out this year on HBO. Is a fantastic show, and I thought she would like it, but I guess she's too scared to watch it. So we made the deal. If she went to the concert with me, then I would watch it. So watched the first episode last night. I'm interested in see how the story develops because it's two guys who are closeted and in a community where it's mostly straight men. So, but like she had prefaced before we watched the first episode, there's going to be a lot of sex, at least in the first couple episodes.
Oh boy.
But yeah, so far so good.
Interesting.
Yeah. So we'll see how it goes. I do have to watch the rest of the show with her. I think there's 6 total episodes. But looking forward to the rest. All right. Well, that essentially does it for our first episode.
I think that went actually, looking at the time wise, we didn't.
Yeah,
I didn't, I thought that's kind of where we'd be. Obviously, it's going to be a little bit longer the first episode or two once we kind of get an idea of, we'll have to time things out better, obviously, and keep segments to where they need to be shorter, longer, what have you. But there's been a lot, like you and I talked about, there's a lot in the first segment. Obviously, there are a lot of big things right now happening in the movie industry.
Right. I mean, we could talk about Avengers, like Marvel, that stuff. We could talk for a whole entire episode.
And I think that's important, obviously, with what's going on with how Marvel has been the last handful of years and where they're trying to get to and what's coming. And obviously, we'll figure out what we're going to review. And that's going to be just kind of Ellie and I are going to kind of just decide, what's out there right now. There's some movies coming out here in a couple weeks, few weeks now that we could review. We could also review an older movie. Something like, for example, you and I could watch Casino Royale, one of the James Bond movies, and review that. It could be whatever. And as we progress in the podcast, obviously, big movies come out, like we'll review the Odyssey, we'll review Dune. But once we get you guys listening and following and watching, if you guys want us to review movies, just drop movies in the comments, and if there's something that interests Ellie and I, we'll take your advice and review some movies.
Yeah, I mean that's our goal. And yeah, as this is our first episode, we're trying to like you mentioned, like figure out how to time each segment, and we have kind of idea going into it, but obviously that doesn't always go according to plan. But essentially, our goal is to release a new episode every week, once a week, targeting 45 minutes to an hour. I think is a good idea. I mean, this is a little over an hour, but I think that's our main goal. And again, like if we don't see a movie in the theater that week, if there's nothing big out, we'll just watch a movie that we've either seen before or haven't seen that's on streaming or wherever, and then we can talk about that. But that's kind of how the format we want to do every week. We have the 3 main sections. We talk about, the news that's going on in Hollywood. We'll talk about our main review, whether that's a
TV show.
An episode of a TV show. It's more than likely going to be a movie, but they could also be a TV, episode of TV or a season of TV. And then we want to finish it with kind of like our own, stuff, like what's going on in our minds. Yeah.
We're gonna hopefully get an Instagram going. Get this up on, you're going to find this in all the podcast forums. And then obviously we'll, as we progress, we'll drop our Letterboxd profiles. We'll drop, you guys can follow me on Instagram where I post my movie rankings. I'll start posting a lot of that. We're going to do our best to, when we watch a movie, to post a Letterboxd review of it, as soon as we can, just so you guys can kind of get an idea. So if we're reviewing something on the pod for next week and you guys go to our Letterboxd, that movie should be there. So you guys can kind of see what we think ahead of time, and then you can hear us talk more in depth about whatever we're reviewing. So,
and we are in the process of creating the socials too. So we want to create an Instagram, want to create an X account, potentially YouTube, where we can like post the audio and the audio feed. But just again, this is our first episode, so we appreciate everybody listening. Wherever this is posted, whether it's Spotify or
Apple
Podcasts, wherever you get your podcast, please leave a review, follow the show. It really does help us because we're trying to get this off.
We're trying to get this going.
So share it with your friends, your family, your enemies, anybody you know. So thanks for listening, everybody.
Yeah, thanks, guys. We're excited. We're happy. It's a venture that Elliot and I have talked about for quite some time. Given when we started this whole big venture of A-list members at AMC, so we wanted to do this. I think we're passionate about it, passionate about a lot of things, and we have different opinions on a bunch of different types of movies, shows, things like that I think you guys can all relate to. So, but yeah, that's gonna wrap it up for the first episode. So, thanks for listening, guys. We will see you next time.
See ya.